Hey, Bistro friends, Jill here. I am here tonight with Kaitlyn, who is from Primal Pet Foods. And some of you may actually recognize Kaitlyn. She worked here with the Pet Bistro about, good Lord, maybe what, year and a half ago now?
Yeah.
Has it been that long you've been with Primal? Yeah, I think so. So some of you may not recognize her, but she is now with Primal Pet Foods, and she's going to give us a quick rundown and about product and Primal and all the awesome things about Primal, and why you should maybe consider adding Primal to your cat or dog's diet. So first, Kaitlyn, if you could start by just giving a quick introduction, what your role is in the company, and of course, I know you have pets at home, so if you could tell us about them as well.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me, Jill. So my name is Kaitlyn. I am a retail training specialist for Primal. So basically, I just go out and educate on different Primal products and how they can benefit your pet. And I have 3 dogs at home. I have a pit bull mix named Polly, who's about 5, a French bulldog named Oakley, who's 3, and I just adopted another little furry friend named Dexter. He's a Great Pyrenees mix, and he's only about 30. So
the benefit of you living locally is we get to see all of your fun pets all the time.
I love shopping at the Pet Bistro.
Awesome. So you've been with Primal for about a year and a half now, right?
Yeah.
So I know you know all the ins and outs and all the things that I know there's some new launches coming. So could you maybe start by telling us a little bit about Primal, the company as a whole? I know the philosophies are a little bit different with Primal, and one of the reasons we love them, as well as kind of going into product testing. And I know you guys have different tests that you do to make sure that your product is safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So Primal got started back in 2001. The gentleman who started the company, his name was Matt Koss. His dog at the time, Luna, became really sick, and he actually took her to a couple different vets and tried some different options. He then decided that fresh food was going to be the best vet for his dog, Luna. So he worked with his vet and came up with the formula that we have today for Primal and started feeding that to Luna and saw such significant improvement in her. We know renal failure is not curable, but if you can start feeding fresh foods, it can really help with giving them more energy and just creating a better life for them. So seeing what it did for his dog, Luna, he wanted to help a lot of other dogs and cats. So he started just continuing working his way up and making Primal. Primal today is now in almost every brick and mortar pet store across the United States. The coolest part about that is Matt Koss is still the sole owner of Primal. He's never had any investors or anyone buy in. It's still just him at the top. So that makes Primal a little bit unique. You still get the same quality that Primal started with going on 19 years ago.
I love the passion behind that too. And I know when I started my business and my retail store in 2007, Primal was one of like the 3 raw brands that even existed. And a lot of people know I was crazy feeding raw and making a store that focused on raw food, fresh food. And now here we are today where we're seeing more and more reports about how fresh food can really enhance a dog and cat's longevity and their lifespan and benefits, and which is really cool. So I'm glad Matt stuck with it.
Yeah. So he designed the whole company to just be more biologically appropriate for our pets. It's just kind of basically what their bodies are actually designed to actually process and actually can actually fuel them and feed their microbiome. So it's really awesome. Into like our testing, I know raw food can be a little controversial because people are kind of worried about their pet getting sick and different things like that. We have some really high safety standards at Primal. So all of our meats are human grade. They're going to be free range or grass fed. We don't use any grain fed animals of any sort. We don't use any caged animals. So everything's free run, really, really high quality, happy animals is what we start with. Once we make all of our products, we know that different poultry items are prone to having salmonella and different things like that. So we put all of our poultry through a process called high pressure processing. Basically what it does is it's like a cold water bath that'll actually break apart the cells of like single cell organisms. So different pathogens such as salmonella, E. coli, and listeria by doing that process, it kills them off so that we can ensure that our food is free of pathogens before it's released for you guys. All the other proteins that aren't put through that and the poultry are all sent to a third-party lab where they're actually tested to ensure that those pathogens are gone before we release it for sale. So you can be sure that every single bag of Primal that you take home is completely pathogen-free. That's one of the most important things that you're going to look for when you're looking for a raw diet for your pet.
That's fantastic too, because I don't, sometimes I think there's kind of a scare, especially when you're maybe having a conversation with your veterinarian who might be a little bit more on the conventional side and don't understand that companies like Primal are going through quality control and batch testing to make sure that the pathogens are not there. Or maybe you have an older dog that has immunocompromised issues that also then becomes a concern. So that can be, sometimes that can quell a veterinarian's fear about you introducing a bacteria into the diet. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And same thing with people too. People are concerned if they have small children or different things like that they could be bringing pathogens into their home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that Primal has a commitment to using high quality grass-fed, grass-finished meat, because sometimes we forget that grain, especially low quality grain, whether it's corn or soy, introduced into the body can also then infiltrate and cause issues and inflammatory issues in people and our pets. So that I think is really, really important as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good information. All right. So why don't we start going through some of the Primal products, because we have quite a line up of products. So wherever you want to start, I have some things to show, and I'll just go along with you.
Okay, perfect. We'll start with we'll just go over freeze-dried first.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Primal freeze-dried is actually a complete and balanced diet. So you can feed full freeze-dried to your dog or cat, and they're going to get all the nutrients that they need. Something that's really unique about Primal's complete and balanced freeze-dried is it's going to be the exact same formula as the frozen. So those of you that are familiar with feeding frozen Primal, this is the exact same thing. We just removed the moisture from it. So you can kind of go back and forth. If you were to go hiking or something like that and you're used to feeding your pet frozen raw, you can intermittently feed the freeze-dried, and it's going to be the exact same diet. So it won't upset your pet at all.
And here's a sample of what it actually looks like. It's literally what would you say, a 1 inch by 2 inch nugget?
Yeah, just so nuggets. Break apart.
It breaks pretty easily too. So yeah. We have samples. The cat's looking for a handout.
Yeah, so something unique to Primal is in our complete and balanced formulas, we don't use a synthetic vitamin or mineral pack. We use all fresh whole foods and supplements to complete and balance our formulas. So when you look at that ingredient panel on a bag of Primal, you'll probably recognize almost every single ingredient in there. We use different things like sunflower seeds or rosemary, alfalfa. We use montmorillonite clay, different natural ingredients like that to complete and balance our food rather than dumping just that regular synthetic vitamin pack into our food. That just makes it easier for your pets to absorb and digest those different vitamins and minerals. So they get a higher quality than from your traditional cooked foods.
Mm-hmm. Good. So freeze-dried is for cats and dogs, right? We have
lots of different varieties for dogs and cats.
The other thing that I love about this too is you guys have kind of some indicators on here. So people that are a little bit more savvy with traditional Chinese medicine, especially. So did I really grab all neutral? No, there we go. I have a cooling.
Yeah, they do put that on the back of the bag just for anyone that is looking for something along those lines. It does in that little box also tell you that this is a complete and balanced diet, and then it does tell you what safety standard it's going through. So if it is high pressure processed, it'll tell you that it's high pressure processed. Everything else just says test and hold. So that's just telling you that.
That one's the poultry, so that one has it. That one's the chicken and salmon for Kitty. So
it is labeled right on the back of the bag.
Yeah, and a lot of people are a little bit more savvy about cooling, warming, hot, or neutral. So that can be really helpful for people that are coming in just shopping on their own. So good.
Yeah.
So that's freeze dried.
Yep. And also, I know a lot of people use freeze dried as a topper to entice their pets. So it's really good to add on top of kibble or different things like that. It's a good way to add a little bit of food to your pet's diet.
Yeah.
And then since the water is removed, we always recommend you add a little bit of water or bone broth or even goat milk back to it to get that moisture back into your pet's diet, because that's really important.
Unless you have a cat. Cats in particular. But they will go get water afterwards on their own. At least mine do.
Awesome.
All right. And then frozen. Why don't we do frozen next?
Okay, awesome. So we do have a full line of frozen. That's going to be our more extensive line. We do have lots of different proteins. It is going to be, like I said, the same formula as the freeze dried, but it has the moisture added back in. So you just pull it out, thaw it, and then feed it. The Pronto that she's showing right now is really great because it thaws very quickly. So it's always good to have that on hand if you forget to thaw your patties or your nuggets. This can thaw in about 10 to 15 minutes. So this is really convenient, but it also makes a great topper for kibble as well. So you can just scoop a little bit out on top. What's cool about our different proteins is every single one is balanced a little bit differently. And that's just because every meat is a little bit different. So if you think about chicken versus beef, you're going to get different nutrients from chicken than you are from beef. So all of our formulas are going to be like ranging from, for the dog, you'll get like 77% meat, bone, and organ to up to 85%. And then the rest is going to be vitamins and minerals and a little bit of fruits and veggie mix as well.
Right. And that'll have that here right on the package as well.
Yep, right up front there so you can see. And
this one's cat, so it's a little bit higher meat inclusion. This is what Kang has been eating at the store. This has been this week's pick. So,
and then we always recommend that you rotate through the different formulas too. That way your pets get a little bit of variety and they'll get a little bit of different nutrients from the different protein sources.
Perfect. And it keeps them from being picky sometimes too, or it helps with picky eaters because they want variety. So
absolutely, yeah. And this is
and then frozen comes both cat and dog as well. So we carry both of those. The only difference with frozen between cat and dog is dog, obviously, most people feed more, so they have patties or larger 6-pound packages for dog. Where cat, we have the Pronto size, and then we have a 3-pound package for cats.
Yep. And the cat formulas are a little bit higher in meat because we know cats are a little bit more carnivorous than dogs. So we do add a little bit extra meat to the cat formulas than the dog formula.
Perfect. All right. And then moving along, we have, what do you want to talk about next?
Should we do bones?
Yeah, let's do bones.
So frozen bones. Primal has a whole bunch of different varieties of different marrow bones that you can feed your pets. These are really, really awesome chew for your dog or cat too. The little ones are great for cats, but this is going to keep your pet really entertained. These last for several hours, and they do have a lot of health benefits to them. We at Primal like to call these nature's toothbrushes just because they're so good for dental health. So as your pet eats and chews on that bone, they're going to get the little bit of raw enzymes. Those are going to actually start to break apart plaque and tartar on their teeth. And as they chew on the bone, it'll actually start to scrape it off. So these are really beneficial for pets that might need, if you come in looking for like a dental chew, this might be a really good variety or option. It's going to last a lot longer. And then you get all those extra benefits too.
Yeah, so and the bones come in different sizes. So this one I pulled is a large, but there's also medium and small. And then the medium ones also come in a 6-pack. So if you have lots of dogs in the house or you need to entertain more than one dog. And if your dog's never had one of these before, we typically recommend starting out with a 20 to 30 minute chew session. You can always rinse the bone off and toss it back in the freezer. Sometimes the marrow, if your dog has never had raw or it's the first time eating a bone, the marrow can sometimes be a little bit rich. So just if you have a sensitive dog, just to be cautious with their digestive system, sometimes introducing it in 20 to 30 minute chew sessions, and then you they'll build up a tolerance where they can handle the marrow a little bit better, and then you can do a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour chew session, which is a fantastic babysitter and a great pacifier.
Absolutely.
This used to be what I cleaned the house with on Saturdays when I had all my dogs. I would give everybody a bone. Everyone would go in their separate corners or crates or whatever it was, and I could actually get stuff done in the house.
Yeah, and they typically don't make too much of a mess either, because if you do feed them frozen, they typically clean them off pretty fast, and you don't get like a real big mess out of them. So
yeah. So and this is so we sell, just to clarify too, because we sell raw meaty bones, and then we sell recreational bones. So this would fall into more like a recreational bone. It's a weight-bearing bone. Dogs aren't going to consume the bone portion, where if you were to feed a raw meaty bone, like a chicken back or a duck neck or turkey neck, that is a bone, a meat and bone that is to be consumed completely by the cat or dog. So, but yes, great for dental health. Absolutely. Anything else, Dad? Sorry, I'm adding along with you.
I got everything.
Yeah. Want to do bone broth next, since that's actually comes from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, our bone broth is made from our raw marrow bones. They're slowly simmered. Bone broth, the Primal bone broth specifically, has a lot of cool health benefits to it. If you've ever used it, it's pretty thick and gelatinous when you thaw it out. It looks almost like an applesauce consistency. You get a lot of good health benefits from having it in that form still. If you do have a picky pet, you can put it in a saucepan and warm it up on the stove, and it'll go back to like a thin broth consistency. But a lot of dogs and cats will actually just eat it like cold right out of the fridge. So some of the health benefits you get from bone broth are, it's full of collagen. So you get some skin benefits and hair benefits. It can actually help like reduce shedding a little bit, because you get like more elasticity in the skin. It's really great for hips and joints. As senior pets age or large breed pets grow, the little fluid sacs between their bones will actually start to deplete a little bit. And this will actually go in and add a little bit of cushioning back in, and can really be beneficial for those large breed pets or those senior pets. It's great for the liver as well, helps detoxify everything, and some really good immune boosting properties in there as well. I know my little French bulldog got that hyperkeratosis all over her little paw pads, and this really helps heal a lot of that for her. So it's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then it's also
I wouldn't have thought that. So that's, yeah, I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I would say like 90% of it went away by doing bone broth with her. So
cool.
Definitely something unique.
So and just so it comes in 4 flavors.
Yep. So it comes in pork, turkey, chicken, or beef. So there's a little bit of variety. Pork's the thickest of all. So if you thaw them out, they're all going to be a little bit different consistency. Pork's going to be the thickest. And then it's also really good for allergy pets too. It helps heal and seal their gut, adds some protection back in there. So if your pet has really bad allergies, this is a really good option that can really help combat those allergies.
And then the one thing that I like about all the mix-ins actually is that you could freeze these into ice cubes, or you could refreeze it into like interactive toys as well. So allowing them to chew on like ice cubes in the summertime when it's warm. Other things that are really important, we have some information is just a little bit over to the side. So I know a lot of our customers are really smart and health savvy, but when it comes to bone broth for pets, you want to make sure for sure that there's no onion.
Yes. Yeah, so we don't add any onion or garlic to ours, and it's very low in sodium as well. So it's human grade. It's the same thing as all the other Primal products. It's all made with organic fruits and vegetables, which is really awesome. I've tasted it before. It just tastes pretty bland, but
well, that's because there's no salt and some of the other things that our palate we like, but our cats and dogs usually don't care.
Yeah, and then it's the last thing. It's just a really good way to add some moisture back into your pet's diet. If you think about that dry, crunchy kibble that most pets eat every day, you pour a little bit of this over top. It's like basically adding like your moisture back. If you would think about it as like a bowl of cereal, like adding milk to your cereal. You could do that with the goat milk or the bone broth. But awesome. I do, like you said, I freeze it into all different interactive toys. We like layer the different Primal products in there, and they eat those outside all summer long.
Yeah. Cool. Good stuff. I like it. And then let's move on. My goat's milk's been sitting out here for a hot second, but we have our goat's milk. Woot woot.
Yeah, so goat milk is pretty cool. It's a really good way to add a huge boost of probiotics to your pet's diet. There's going to be a lot more probiotics in our goat milk than in even a probiotic supplement or in your traditional like kibble that says it has added probiotics. So goat milk alone has probiotics in it. We add extra on top. So you get that huge boost. So it's really, really good for the digestive tract. We also add in ginger, cinnamon, and turmeric to our goat milk. So you get those added anti-inflammatory benefits.
Is that what's in the bottom?
That's what's in the bottom. So
everybody always asks, what's in the bottom?
Yep, so I'm going to shake it up pretty well once it's thawed up, and it'll mix right back into the goat milk. So yeah, with the cinnamon, ginger, and turmeric, you get anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, really good for the gut, different things like that. So if your pet's having a digestive upset, this is usually a really good, quick and easy fix for that pet. Pets that have been on antibiotics, different things like that, this is a good way to boost their immune system back up.
So can you tell us a little bit, because there's always the question that we get often is, well, I heard if I give my cat or dog milk that it's gonna cause diarrhea. So can you tell us a little bit what makes like pasteurized grocery store milk different than Primal goat milk?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Primal, we don't pasteurize our milk because when you pasteurize milk, it kills all the good bacteria in there. Dogs and cats are most of the time actually lactose intolerant. So when you kill off all I'm gonna get this wrong. The lactose eats the lactate. Is that correct? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to have both in the milk for your pet to be able to digest it. When you pasteurize it, it actually will kill off the lactose.
That as well as the enzymes. So typically raw milk will have all of the necessary enzymes to break down. And when we go through a pasteurization process like we would at the grocery store, it's pretty much like a sterile food at that point. So you have to start over.
Exactly. And that's like heat treatment too. So it just kills off everything really good. So with ours not being pasteurized, it's really a lot easier for your pet to digest, and the fat molecules are going to be a little bit different than a cow's milk. So your pet can actually process them a lot easier, and they get really good benefits to it.
Yeah. And you can, the other thing that I love about goat milk, even though it has this recommended daily serving, is you can pretty much go as little or as much as you want, depending on your pet. It's great for young animals. It's great for adult animals. It's great for senior pets. Yeah. You name it.
You can feed it as a treat on the side, or you can add it to what you're already feeding them. I know if you get like young puppies or kittens, things like that, this can be really beneficial to give them as a little baby, especially if they're separated from their mother when they're really young. This is very similar to a mother mammal's milk. So they get a lot of the enzymes and different things like that from this that they would from like a synthetic formula. This makes it a lot easier for their body to digest because it's a natural product.
Yes. Sorry, I'm over here trying to entertain the cat as well. She's naughty tonight. Left to her own accord. Okay, and then I think the last group of items that we need to talk about are something that's a little bit newer for Primal, and that is the different elixirs.
Yeah, so Primal launched these about a year ago, so they're still brand new to us. They're really, really awesome products. That one you have there is the squash elixir. This one's really awesome for a digestive support. So I know a lot of times when people come into the store, they look for canned pumpkin because canned pumpkin's a really good boost of fiber. We use butternut squash, so it's going to be the same concept as that can of pumpkin, but a little bit more benefits to it. So butternut squash is going to be a really good boost of fiber, just like that pumpkin, but it's lower glycemic. So it's better for diabetic pets, and just all around, a little lower glycemic is always good for your pet. We then add in chia seeds, so you get that soluble fiber boost. So together, the squash and the chia seeds will actually give you a prebiotic fiber that will actually help nourish the gut, firm stool, increase regularity, and actually will feed their microbiome, We also add in the cinnamon, the ginger, and the turmeric, so you get those stomach settling, anti-inflammatory ingredients. This one also has those added probiotics from the goat milk in there as well. So you get all that support for a healthy GI tract. There's some apple cider vinegar in here. We all know that's really good for your stomach. It has some enzymes in it, and it helps with acid balance. So this one kind of, instead of just going in like that can of pumpkin and being like a boost of fiber, this can actually fix the gut and heal everything back up. The base of the elixir also is the pork bone broth as well. So you get those bone broth benefits on top of all the other ingredients that are in there.
And then in addition to the squash, there's also a couple other flavors. So what are those?
Yep, so we also have a healthy green smoothie. So that one is going to be a bunch of dark leafy greens. So you get a good boost of antioxidants. There's the chia seeds in there, some coconut oil, and then on top of all that, we add in 7 medicinal mushrooms to that. So you get a really good immune boost out of that one. So that one's like a green smoothie you would drink just for your pet.
Yeah.
And
then we have the
muscle one.
Yes.
That one is going to be fresh mussels in there. So you get a really good source of glucosamine and chondroitin. So that one's designed to be a little bit of hip and joint support. It's also really going to be beneficial for skin and coat as well, with all those fish oils in there. On top of the glucosamine and chondroitin, there's going to be turmeric, organic apple cider vinegar. So both those combined will actually help support a healthy skeletal system. And then, like I said, they all mix with pork bone broth. So you get all those bone broth benefits too that we talked about, the hip and joint support, the gut health, and then the immune boosting.
So this is essentially in here. That's cool.
Yeah, so if you didn't know which one to try, you could just go with an elixir because you're going to get those bone broth benefits and the other added benefits.
Nice. And real quick, looking at the squash one is the one I grabbed. One thing that I noticed is it's only 1% fat. So not only with your diabetic dogs, but maybe your pancreatitis animals as well, just because it's such a low fat. That can be helpful for those guys that have a hard time processing something that's a little fattier. Same thing with the bone broth. The bone broth is under 0.5%. So, and I think, so the goat's milk is a little higher at 7%, but usually that's still okay depending on your pet or if they've had recent issues with pancreatitis, but still some really awesome options from you guys.
Yeah. And these are just really good to add on top of whatever you're already feeding your pet, to add in some fresh foods for them.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, you don't really maybe have to make like a huge commitment if you're feeding a dry food or there's like budgetary concerns. You could, pick one of these up maybe once a month, at least get it added in. You don't have to go to like full raw and make that commitment, but you could definitely elevate your dry food and what you're already feeding by getting some fresh food in there. I don't know. Do you guys, Kaitlyn, I don't know if you guys have the information there. I know there is some information coming out of some of the Canadian universities that is saying like 10 to 20% of fresh food replacement into dry food is creating longevity and better health in our cats and dogs. And I know I have a video with a veterinarian that we're going to launch here soon that details a little bit more about that, but I don't know if you guys have seen any of those studies. It's really cool information.
Yeah, I've personally seen a few of them. Haven't done like a whole lot of research on them, but it is pretty cool. And anybody that's started adding fresh food to their pet side, I think you'll start to see a lot of improvements in your pet. I know personally, like I've seen transitions with my pets just from feeding them like traditional kibble and then switching them over to a complete raw diet. You just see a lot of health benefits from them. They have more energy. A lot of times you'll see like less shedding, longevity in their life. Like you can just really boost their life by giving them what their bodies are really designed to eat.
Plus with cats, you're reducing the chronic dehydration issue that they have if they eat dry food on a everyday basis without ever adding some sort of freshness or fresh food or moisture back into their diet to balance that. So cats aren't meant to continually eat dry food and then chug down a bowl of water. Like that isn't the best route for their kidneys. So if you can add some of this fresh food in with your cat, I know cats sometimes you have to be a little bit more diligent and you have to be a little bit more optimistic than our dog friends, our canine friends. We could usually just say like, hey, try this, and they say okay.
Right, yeah. Cats definitely can be a little on the pickier side.
They can be, absolutely.
If you can get them to do anything that adds a little bit of added moisture, it's going to be really beneficial for them. And like you said, it can just be like persistence. You just have to keep trying, and eventually they usually will do it. Like you were saying, they are designed to eat their moisture. They're not designed to drink water. So a lot of times cats are chronically dehydrated because they're just eating dry food and they're not actually getting the moisture that they need.
Yeah. So, and I think we should maybe add to your list too, because I think you had a great list going of the benefits of adding fresh food or starting a raw diet with your pet. You had mentioned, decrease in shedding, overall just acting like peppier, overall lifespan and health. Sometimes we see smaller stools if you go to a full raw diet. Or consistent stools, believe it or not. There's a lot of cats in the world. So adding sometimes that moisture and that goat's milk back in can create some more consistent stools. Better breath, fresher breath, less gas. We hear a lot of gas stories.
That's a really good one because I have a French bulldog and they're prone to having gas, right? And
clearing rooms in no time.
Once in a while they'll get one, but like most of the time it's good.
Yeah. Better, like overall, like oral health, like dental health, cleaner teeth, healthier teeth. Sometimes even we see it with like puppies. Sometimes they have that crazy sugar spike from eating dry food because they're pretty carbohydrate heavy. So sometimes you see like a more even Steven temperament. It's not that roller coaster. Cats, I probably get the most comments, and when the cats are here at the store, about how soft they feel. So their whole like fur dynamic changes. It's silky and soft, and it feels different. It's not oily, it's not clumpy, it's not dandery. So those can be pretty dramatic coat changes.
Yeah, usually when you do switch over to, if you switch to a full raw diet, you'll actually see your pet go through almost like a detox phase, and you'll see all of their different, those different things like change. Like your pet might like shed a whole entire coat and grow a whole new coat that's gonna be a lot healthier and shinier and softer, like the cats at the Pet Bistro. I know my dogs have definitely, their coats are very soft. I always get that when people are petting them. They're like, "Whoa, they're so soft and shiny." And it all just goes back into like their body and how they process everything. And if you think about like the skin's the largest organ system in the body, and everything on the inside is going to affect the skin on the outside. So same thing with like hot spots and different things like that. That's all created internally. So if you can start to boost their diet, you can actually help get rid of a lot of those different problems.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of even like the stools are not as smelly. I know that this sounds crazy. And most people think I'm crazy when I say this, but we had 6 cats. We're down to 5, but even 6 or 5, still a lot of cats, a lot of litter boxes. And I can feel raw. I can honestly tell you that I don't know when my cats poop, which it sounds crazy to most cat people, especially if you feed a dry food or canned food. And if Kanga gets into dry food or canned food around the store here and then goes home, she can clear the room. And but my cats that consistently eat raw only, there's many times we don't know when they've actually had stool in the litter box because it doesn't have the same like full house smell that you would normally get. So I know we oftentimes don't pay attention to that with our dogs because they most often do their business outside. So you're not getting the full aroma of that in your home unless they have an accident. But that can make a difference. But on the flip side, for dogs, it can make yard pickup pretty convenient.
Yeah, because especially like Primal products, they're complete and balanced. They're over 90% digestible. So they're actually digesting and using 90% of, or more, some of the farmers are even more, of that, whatever you feed them. So they're not going to have much waste coming out. They get a lot more benefits from that than a processed food, just the way their body digests it. Processed foods can range up to roughly like 80% digestible. So they're getting a lot more out of the raw. And you actually will feed a little bit less too because they are getting more out of it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a lot of benefits that people sometimes don't realize, and sometimes people see those benefits even when they change from like dry foods. You know, when you feed something that is not high in carbohydrates and it has a little bit more meat inclusion, people start seeing those changes even with the change of kibble. But then you take it a step further and you add in some fresh food, or you start adding some raw into the diet, then you're really going to notice a lot of those changes pretty quickly. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good. So did we cover everything? Treats? We didn't really go over treats.
We didn't go over treats, so.
Okay, so let's talk about those.
Yeah, so we do have several different treat options. She has the nibs and the liver munchies there. What's cool about the Primal treats is they're all single source ingredient. So like the liver is just going to be liver. You have beef liver. That's what I have in front of me as well. So it's just dried beef liver. So that makes it really nice for pets with allergies or picky pets. It's super palatable. And like I said, if your pet is allergies, single source treats are really important. And these all have the same quality ingredients as all of our other ones. So it's going to be grass-fed, grass-finished meat, no added antibiotics or hormones.
I love this. It's just beef liver. It's like one ingredient.
And usually pets will go absolutely crazy for them. The nibs have, I think, honey and sea salt added to them just as a preservative. And those are the chicken ones. So that's just chicken, honey, and sea salt. It's like a little beef jerky treat. Those are designed to be more of like your little training size bite. We do have chips also, which are just the bigger version of the nibs. They're like a little, probably about like 1.5 inch round little patty. And then we have chicken shredders as well, which is just a dried chicken breast.
I know my cats love the liver, but I think most cats like liver, so.
So just like a super simple line of treats that are really like a high reward treat. Pets will typically do a lot for those treats. I know with my little puppy at home, dried chicken breast is saving us a lot. He does anything for that.
Right. I think that covered pretty much the whole lineup, right? Am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
Trying to think. I don't think so.
That's
good. So if you could tell us, like, what if we had a customer or somebody who was new to Primal and didn't really know where to start, could you give them maybe give us a couple bullet points of like why choose Primal? I mean, I think we have a lot of other great things, but I could maybe get some more bullet points if you can't think of anything. And then like where to start? Is like goat's milk and bone broth the best place to start, or should we jump right into raw, or how should we get started?
Yeah, so I'd say everyone's probably going to be a little bit different in where they want to start or how comfortable they feel with it. If you're looking to just add a topper to your pet's food, either the bone broth, the goat milk, or the new elixirs would be a really good option. If you're worried about doing a raw product, the elixirs, most of those have cooked ingredients in them, so they're not actually a raw product. So that might be a really good option. Those are pretty cool. You just thaw them out and you just put a little scoop on top of your pet's current diet. You can mix and match. You can go through them all, try the different ones, get some different health benefits out of those. Goat milk, I always like to say goat milk is like adding the milk back to your cereal. So that's a really good way to help.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's like helping add in those digestive enzymes, those probiotics. It'll help digest that kibble that they're eating a little bit better and faster for them. And then it's added moisture back into their diet. So then they're eating their moisture. Bone broth, if you have a senior pet, that would probably be my first go-to just because of the hip and joint support. And I know as senior pets get older, a lot of times they get a little bit pickier. If you warm this up in a little saucepan until it starts about steaming, you pour it over their kibble or their canned food, it can add like a nice aroma and a little bit of warmth back in for those little bit pickier pets.
Now, I think warming this is a fantastic idea. However, I don't think warming this is a fantastic idea.
No, definitely not.
So two different things. This you end up killing your cultures where bone broth doesn't have probiotics in it to kill off. So
yeah, so because the bone broth is slowly simmered, so it starts out being warm and then we do freeze it. So if you want to warm it back up, a lot of pets like it warmed up as well. I know that's the way I got my cats to actually eat Primal with the freeze dried, was by adding the bone broth. They wouldn't touch it for several weeks. We tried everything, and then I started using warm bone broth, and that's what got them to start eating it. So
I've actually heard that from a couple of our customers as well, that they actually, if they do like a homemade food, or if they make like their own slurry of different things for their cat to eat raw, that they will add in the bone broth for the moisture content. Instead of adding water, they use the bone broth over water or goat's milk. So
yeah, that's a great option. And then if you have a dog that really loves to chew but goes through bully sticks pretty quickly, a raw bone might be a really good option for you to start with. It's going to be that longer lasting chew. Like you did mention, though, you do want to start them off slow because you don't want to upset their stomach from adding in something completely different than they're used to. It's just going to be really rich for them. So give it to them a couple different times. You can stick it back in the freezer, refreeze it, and then pull it back out. That's going to be really entertaining for our pets, and they're going to get those added benefits. I've actually seen dogs chew on those for several hours, and like you said, it's great for when you're cleaning your house or if you have company over, different things like that. It'll keep your pet entertained. So those are probably the easiest ones to start with. If you're completely new to raw, Pronto would be probably the last option. If you're completely new, that one's the one you can just sprinkle over kibble. You can use as little or as much as you want, so that makes it easy. So if you can just start with a couple little nuggets and work your way up.
So, and there are, if I feel like sometimes your pets make the decision for you. If you start adding a little bit of raw toppers or mix-ins at a time, and then your dog gets to the point that they don't eat their dry food without the mix-ins, they start kind of making the decision for you to lean more and more towards a complete raw diet. But I think there are some other things that cause more for not so much an emergency switch, but possibly to really consider switching if you have a cat with kidney issues. That might be a fantastic time to make a full switch. Or cats or dogs with like IBD or some sort of irritable bowel type symptoms where you're seeing chronic loose stools or chronic diarrhea. I've seen plenty of animals switch to a full raw diet, and those go away rather quickly. I've also seen senior pets where food is just not that appetizing anymore, but switching to a full raw diet, they're more consistent eating. Trying to think of some of the other good diabetic animals, like you had mentioned, do really well. If you have a dog with allergies, like severe food allergies, you can find in raw food something that's very minimal and single source protein. There's no chicken fat, there's no chicken eggs, there's no poultry products like added. So if you have a cat or dog that has like severe poultry allergies, you can really eliminate carbohydrates. You can find single source meat protein options. You're taking out, like Kaitlyn had mentioned earlier, sometimes the synthetic vitamins, you guys don't realize, but sometimes those synthetic vitamins actually really cause issues with our pets. So, finding something that doesn't have an ingredient deck with a bunch of synthetics can sometimes make a difference. So,
yeah, that's almost all the Primal Complete and Balanced are single source. We do have turkey and sardine for dog, or beef and salmon, or chicken and salmon for cats, but the rest are going to be completely single source protein. So whatever the bag says on the front is what you're getting. So if it's beef, it's going to be beef, organ meat, and bone, and then the fresh organic produce and supplements added. So really good for allergy pets.
Yeah, which is awesome. I'm trying to think, can you think of any other ideas that might cause like somebody to make a quick switch or an emergency? Like we've tried everything, and I think those are the main things that we hear at the store here.
Yeah, you mentioned like pancreatitis earlier. That's a good one.
Yep.
Urinary issues is what I usually see.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Cats. So, I mean, cats with urinary issues doesn't have to be kidneys, but sometimes we see, especially male cats with bladder stones and blockages and things of that nature. Raw diet can be really supportive for those kitties. Yeah, that's all great reasons that somebody might make an overnight switch.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is so you have cats and dogs at home, but what would you say is your favorite product, or what would you say is your pet's favorite product out of the Primal lineup?
I'm gonna have to go with bone broth. That's my favorite of all, just because it helps Oakley's little feet so much, and they literally won't eat their food without bone broth now. I've kind of made them into little monsters by using so much of it. They're so used to it now, and they're just like, that's our favorite. Just that added moisture that they get from it, the hip and joint support, that immunity boost, all those different things. It's just such a really cool, awesome product. I do freeze it into ice cubes and give them little bone broth ice cubes outside all summer long.
And I love, I mean, we have some really funny stories from customers where their dogs have gotten in the habit of having goat's milk as like a bedtime snack. So at 9 o'clock, the dog stands in front of the refrigerator door, like begging or asking for their snack.
Yeah, like
instinctively they know that is something that they need.
Yeah. Almost like an addiction.
I know you had a really cool slide from Primal that has it's the one with like all the options all around it. Do you know what I'm talking about? It says exactly like why choose Primal. I think that might be an excellent one to share. If you have that one, there we go. Have access to it. Perfect. That's the one.
No. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, so this kind of just goes over everything we talked about earlier and what makes Primal different. Basically, it's just our amazing ingredients. Everything is manufactured in the USA at our own family-owned facilities. We use wild-caught fish. Everything's vegetarian fed, ethically raised, certified organic produce, human edible, no added antibiotics or hormones, steroids, no corn, wheat, and soy. I know that's a big one. A lot of pets are allergic to corn, wheat, and soy nowadays, and people are looking for things that don't have that. And then that no synthetic vitamins as well.
Yeah, so I think this is a great photo of showing what exactly, like all in one picture. It's one big picture of exactly why Primal fits the Pet Bistro promise and what we promise to bring to our customers as well. Is it really focuses on all of those great things that you guys do behind the scenes that brings us great products in the store that a lot of people maybe don't know just by coming in and doing their everyday shopping.
Right. And then this slide too, real quick, is pretty awesome. It kind of just shows you all the different options that you can just add right on top of what you're already feeding. Our slogan at Primal is build a better bowl. So we have just a lot of different options for you to add to what you're already feeding to help boost your pet's bowl a little bit better. So this kind of just shows you what some of the different options look like. You can see the consistency of the different the goat milk, you can see it in the background. The bone broth, you can see it's a little bit thick and gelatinous. And then the little elixirs on the sides kind of cool.
I love it. And I think a lot of people that are maybe just new to getting like their first dog or first cat, you know, we kind of fall into what our parents did or what seems or feels familiar with us. So sometimes this kind of add-in isn't something that we're familiar with. So I love the Build a Better Bowl because that really just goes to show that we can add other products. We can add fantastic ingredients to help our pet enhance their overall health and longevity and things that matter because of course we want our pets to live as long as they can.
Right.
So what overall, I know Primal is found in a lot of our neighborhood pet food stores, but what are some of the benefits of a company like Primal teaming up and working with a store like the Pet Bistro?
Yeah, so we really love working with the Pet Bistro just because you guys are so nutritionally focused. You guys have so many different options, but like you guys are always pushing the fresh food for everybody. So working with you guys is always awesome because you guys are always out there educating everybody on the benefits of adding fresh to your pet's diet. You can't buy Primal everywhere, so shopping at the Pet Bistro is really important because they have everything that Primal carries. You guys have the freezers. You can't get the frozen products online or anything like that. You have to come into the store, and then you guys, with your, like I said, your knowledge is awesome. It's really beneficial. Whenever like you guys have questions, you go in. Usually, anybody who works at the Pet Bistro can answer your questions, and we're always really grateful to have them on the Primal side when it comes to selling the different products that we have.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this has been our mission from day one since I've been selling raw food out of my house is how do we tell more people about it? Because this is like the way to go. So,
Yeah.
And then wrapping up, do we have any new products being launched by Primal this year?
This year we just have our toppers. So if anyone's familiar with the mixes and grinds, they were like 2 and 5 pound little like logs of meat to make it a little bit easier for people to start incorporating raw into their diets. We have transitioned those into the same size as the Pronto. So they'll come in little bags like this, and they're little bite-sized pizzas of the mix or the grind. It's still the exact same formula, just in a different shape so that it's a little bit easier for people to add it back on top of the kibble. So those aren't complete imbalanced. You can use those as up to 30% of your pet's diet. So that's a nice, more cost-effective way of incorporating fresh food into your pet's diet. And those are launching very soon, so you might see
and those actually have a little bit more, there is a just a plain sardine, which is a little bit more unique protein than what is in the rest of your lineup as well. So turkey is mixed with sardine for dogs, but for allergy dogs, I find personally that sardine does really well. So you have to do a little bit more work. Like Kaitlyn said, it's not completely balanced, so you have to do a little bit more work to balance it, but it's totally doable and it can work.
The sardine one too, if like it's also a really good way to just add some like fish oils into your pet's diet. If your pet doesn't like to take pills or they're kind of picky about the oils that you squirt on top of their food, this would be a good way to add a little bit extra in as well.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I know I have my opinion about the chunks going away, but the sardine one actually might be beneficial in the little pellets because nobody really likes touching one of those exploding 2-pound chubs of sardine.
Right. Yeah, this just makes it a little bit easier for you. You can just scoop and serve it though, same as the Pronto, 10 to 15 minutes, scoop it out. It'll be thawed pretty quickly. You can throw it on as a topper, or like you were saying, you can completely balance it by adding a lot of different ingredients into it. I know a lot of people do like to make their own raw at home, or you can add it to like a balanced base. So it's a good option too.
Perfect. Yeah, good. So we'll see those coming up here soon as well. Anything that you think we missed tonight?
No, but there is that last slide if you just want to show that one too. So it's kind of, so why did you bring this to me? This is just Primal's slogan. We like to say that not every pet parent can feed 100% raw diet. However, 100% of pet parents should feed some raw, frozen, and or fresh foods to their pet. That's just our mission by having all these different balanced bases. We really think that it's important to add a little bit of fresh to your pet's diet. So whether you just pour a little bit of goat milk on top or scoop an elixir, adding any fresh is going to benefit your pet.
Perfect. And some of these things are, it's very familiar, and, we have some pureed squash. It's not like we're scooping like ground liver or something that we would think maybe is gross to us, but it's very edible and enticing to our pets. but this still has your pork bone broth. It still has things in it that your pet would like to have. So
yeah, that one smells like fall to me. I always smell it. It smells like the pumpkin patch or something.
yeah. I mean, the mussels is a little on the fishy side, but believe it or not, I think that one we probably sell the most of, and I think it's because dogs really, really like the mussels and some of the older dogs. It's like I feel like sometimes they know what they need and they crave it because they're trying to feed their body.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. We do have a couple comments. I'm just going to swing through here. We had a couple folks saying hello to us. So, hey, Janet. Hey, Aunt Mary. Glad you guys are here. Let's see here. Josephine says, since adding goat's milk to the dog's diet, her dog Olive has had more consistent stools and no more anal gland issues. So I know anal gland issues can be problematic for dogs, so that might be an option for you to try if that's something with your pets. I don't know if you've heard anything more about that at all, Kaitlyn.
Typically just the goat's milk will help firm the stool, and having like a more firm stool can help with anal gland issues.
Sure, as well as anti-inflammatory properties. So makes sense. Megan says Chili loves every Primal product that she's given him. He's super food motivated and has to eat from a slow feeder so he doesn't make himself sick. She tried the Primal samples and he ate his dinner in 5 seconds. She said, is there a way to slow them down when feeding raw? She was told not to use her slow feeder, that it had to be a metal bowl. So from my experience, it's not uncommon for dogs to gulp raw. You get a lot less like regurgitation or vomiting from raw because of the added moisture. A lot of times it goes down the esophagus and into their stomach a lot easier than maybe kibble that is very dry and has a chance of getting stuck, especially if you have a gulper. I personally don't think anything is wrong with using a slow feeder as long as you do, your due diligence and wash it with some hot soapy water. I'm not opposed to that. You could use a muffin tin, so you could use like a metal muffin tin if you wanted to, and fill the different muffin holes. There's also some people that are strict glass only bowl people out there. So I really think it comes down to what works best for your pet and how they eat. Sometimes I've even seen people just use like the little pronto pellets and use them while they're a little bit still frozen and throw them out on a cookie sheet. So they actually have to go around and gobble them up. So I don't think that if Chili's just a big fan of food, I don't think you're going to slow him down with raw food. Usually they're going to gulp it faster.
Yes.
That's my experience. I don't know if you have something different, Kaitlyn.
No, same ideas. I've seen people take like a metal bowl and then take a littler metal bowl and put that in the middle and put the raw around it and make like their own slow feeder. But yeah, as long as you're washing your bowls really well, you'll probably be okay using your slow feeder.
And the licky mats, even I've seen some people use smear the raw into the licky mats. So there's a lot of people that use like the silicone mats to feed raw as well. So lots of options. Thank you for asking that. That's good question though, because a lot of people do. It's funny. Dogs can go either way. They can go like super cautious and not sure if they should touch it, or they go like for the gusto and gulp it down. I hope that they get another meal of that. Josephine also says Jack, her other dog, won't eat without his goat's milk. So goat's milk is a fan fave in Josephine's house. Bethany was just saying hi. And then Reese here, she has her dog Stark, who loves Primal. And a comment here says he has a very sensitive stomach, but it usually doesn't get upset when he eats Primal. So that's encouraging. Thank you for sharing your experience, because sometimes that can be discouraging to people if they have a dog and they know they have a sensitive stomach. to make the switch or to try something different can sometimes be discouraging to people just because they don't know what that outcome is going to be. So good. Well, I think we covered everything tonight, Kaitlyn. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Of course. I'm glad you were able to join us. We'll have to do this again. Maybe we can talk. We'll find some new topics to talk about besides the Primal lineup, which I think is still important because a lot of people don't know everything that you guys have to offer. So hopefully people learned a little bit more tonight. And I appreciate your time. And we'll see everyone soon.
Bye, everyone.